Hello, and welcome to the Crafty Princess Diaries podcast. This is episode 10, entitled, let me make sure, Math Knitting Dropout. Yes, I kind of changed it a few times, but I thought that was the most appropriate title for today, and I'll explain that to you in a few minutes. Today is December 22nd, 2014. I'm on vacation, and I have this beautiful Christmas tree behind me now with ornaments on it, unlike previous episode where it just had the lights. So I thought I'd go ahead and take advantage of the time that I have off work and the fact that I also have some crafting progress to show you to go ahead and record another episode. You can find episode show notes over at my weblog, tammypowley.com. That is Tammy, P as in Paul, Owley. And you can also go over and subscribe. That's the word I'm trying to find there. Words. Subscribe to my channel over on YouTube. I upload all my videos there. I do not do iTunes. I am not that technically savvy. Maybe in the future I will do that. I personally like to watch video podcasts on iTunes, so I get you if you like to do that. But right now I'm keeping it as low tech as possible so that it's something that I can do fairly easily. So anyway, into the show. So today my tip has to do with the Christmas tree and decorating, and a lot of times we make a lot of our own ornaments, right? However, if you are like me and you get a real Christmas tree every year, sometimes you get a tree that has holes in it, like even though you let the tree, you set the tree up and you let it relax and everything, there's still areas in the tree that maybe aren't filled out well enough. And this is something that you hopefully don't have issues with if you have an artificial tree. Personally, I would like to have an artificial tree. Every year I have this discussion with my husband about it because real trees make a real mess, and I get tired of picking up the mess all the time that they make. But he loves to have a real Christmas tree, so no big deal. And they are beautiful. But anywho, what do you do with those holes? How do you fill it up so that your tree doesn't have these big bald spots in places? One thing that you can do, actually two things. You can either, if you have any sort of, I would say ornaments or decorations that are really kind of too big to be an ornament, or they're just kind of like for example, I'll give you an example. This guy, okay? Somebody gave me this. It had some chocolate in here, okay? Had a little box of chocolates. This guy is not very big. He's probably about 6 inches. He's soft, so he's not very heavy. You can set, if you have any little items like this, and I have a few stuffed Christmas toys like this, you can set them inside, the little areas that are kind of bare, all right, and just set them in there. Another idea is once you start getting your Christmas cards, like here's a beautiful one I got from a friend of mine. You may know him as the necklace guy. He makes beautiful beaded necklaces, and if you go to kennethfraun.com, you can see some of his necklaces for sale. He sent me this Christmas card. It's super cute. Okay, you can take a card like this and just set it on the inside. In fact, yeah, there's his URL. You can read that better that way. I'll link it in the show notes. But anywho, you can take a card like this, which is beautiful, and if you set it, unless you have a place that really, showcase all your cards, sometimes I know for me, I just have stuff everywhere and it's hard to see things like this. If you set it in sort of inside that little part of the tree, then again, you're decorating and you're kind of hiding those bald spots. So last episode, I showed a number of holiday beaded ornaments I had made in the past, and I got some wonderful feedback. I'm glad you guys all liked them. I did probably like 2 or 3 years. I was really going crazy making the beaded ornaments. And here's one that I was not able to find last time, but once I started doing the tree up, I found this one. And this is a much more elaborate. You can see here's the ladder stitch. This is a real basic stitch, the ladder. Here you go. You use bugle beads to make the ladder stitch, and those are kind of hard to see because it's white on white, but it's a white bugle beads that make these. There we go. And then you sweep these other beads in between the bugle beads, and I'm pretty sure this is the one that I made basically off of a pattern from Bead and Button. I think I might have changed it a teensy bit, but generally speaking, that's where this particular design came from. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's a little heavier than some of the other ones I showed you that were more netted. It's not too heavy, but just FYI, if you make something like this and you decide you're going to send it off someplace, you would want to make sure that you have a good amount of bubble wrap, even if you don't necessarily, see it's the same thing, it just goes on top of a bowl, but there's a lot of glass beads here, so you would make sure that you package it correctly. And it is, it's a tad heavier, so you need to find a good branch. And I just put a little ribbon up at the top to use it as a hanger. Okay, so those are the Christmas ornaments and my little tip. And now, yes, finished objects. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this show today, is because hello, I am Gordon the Flamingo, and I am finished. There is a wing. Here are his legs and his little toes. And he turned out pretty darn cute. Yes. I think this is the second or third flamingo I've made. And what I did differently on this one versus what's in the instructions and what I've done in the past, the instructions have you make the legs and then just attach them. And you can see the legs are long cylinders. Let's put it that way. There we go. This time, because I want to make sure he could sit easily, like that, I want to make sure his legs bent like that, I flattened these together, the tops of these, and stitched them versus keeping them all round. So this is flattened. This, and it doesn't tell you to do this in instructions, that's why I'm saying this. So if you want something similar to this where he's going to sit, then this is just a simple amigurumi technique. It's not one, I did not make this up, okay? This is an amigurumi technique that lots of, toys, patterns have. And one little thing, I'd love to make this for my sister. She was in I believe it's episode 4 with me. She has a blog called Tapping Flamingo, and in fact she's actually started doing some like 10 to 15 minute videos as well, with some really simple and fun crafting ideas. So make sure you head over, Tapping Flamingo, Terry Jeanette Carter. I will put her in the show notes, of course. But I'd love to make one of these for her with tap shoes. And these are these feet, these are birdie feet. All right. So if you know of a pattern that has little shoes that I could copy the shoe part, I maybe be able to finagle it myself, but it sure would save me some brain matter if I knew of a pattern that already had shoes that I could just put on this guy instead. Replace, instead of having these feet like this, instead of the bird feet, have some little shoes for, that would go at the end of his legs. And then I could put little taps on him, and he would be a tapping flamingo that I could give to her. Okay, or she could even make herself, because honestly she knows how to crochet. So Terry, you need to make Gordon. Okay, and this is a Fresh Stitches pattern. I looked it up, and if I remember correctly, it was only $4. Super easy to make. It's a size H hook, worsted weight, Brava yarn is what I used. I can't remember the colorways, but it's like super bright pink and bright yellow. Okay, pink, yellow, simple. Felted eyes I just glued on. Okay, and that's it. Gordon's saying bye. Okay, bye Gordon. All right, works in progress. I am making a little progress on the shawl that I showed last time. I went on a little bit of a trip to see family, do an early Christmas with my folks in Brevard County, and so I did get some done on my fan stitch shawl. Doodle-doo. Okay, not a lot. See the way there, what did I do? Oh, I looked at I had a bunch of books. I'm going to trying to catch up with all my book reviews. I have a number of book reviews that you should kind of, especially I have some jewelry books, I have knitting books. What else? I have one about writing that's really interesting. I meant to bring that and show. Maybe another video I'll show that. It's not, it's a reading type book. It's not a craft book, but it's, if you like to write, it's an interesting book. But anyway, so part of the way there I looked at the craft books, part of the way I did this, and actually I was not feeling 100% that day, so I didn't get a ton done. Like sometimes I'll actually get some crocheting and stuff done while I'm visiting, but I was just feeling kind of poopy. So yes, I'm getting some work done on that shawl. That shawl is going to be kind of similar to the one I'm wearing, though this is the shawl that has silk in it. It's like 25% silk, and the rest of it is, I believe, superwash merino. And last time I was there at the yarn shop that I got this from, they did not have this. I'm going to be going over there hopefully in about a week. Squee, I'm so happy. Yay. And hopefully they will have something similar, because I will say the difference between this yarn and the other yarn that I'm using for that shawl, huge difference. If you've ever used silk, I mean, I don't know. People, silk and wool, I love them, okay? Unfortunately, it's very hard to go back to silk and nylon. Yeah, it doesn't take long to get used to the good stuff, huh? But anyway, it just this drapes a lot better. And in fact, I'm even thinking, because there's such a difference between the feel, let me pull this out again, the way this feels versus the way this is feeling. I might even make this, I was going to make this a shawlette, so that it's something that can just kind of like a scarfy type thing I can wear. But I might make this a full-size shawl that I would use for when it gets cold in the house, because even though I live in Florida and like today it's 75 degrees, and I went grocery shopping this morning, and by the time I came home I was almost sweat. I was sweating, okay? I was already sweating, lugging in all the groceries, and you know, it's in the mid-70s already, and it's very sunny. So beautiful out. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it's not, we just don't really have weather where you can wear stuff, you know, like this too much. But the big shawls, sometimes when I'm home and the air conditioner's cranking and my husband's got it on like 65 or something, I like to have a shawl to just throw on, a big shawl, so that, because you know, you get hot, you get cold, especially us mature ladies, okay? Don't have to say too much more if you know what I mean. So shawls are nice versus a sweater for that. All right, so the other thing I'm working on, and as you guys know, if you've watched any of my videos, I love crafty classes, and during my holiday break, I'm hoping to get working on the craft class. Let's see, I wrote it down this time so I could, you know, remember it correctly. It's called the Circular Knit Lab Hats 4 Ways, because I want to learn to knit in the round, and hats are, you know, I know at least with crochet, they're a faster project. So I'm hoping with knitting, it's kind of a similar idea. The smaller project, you're not taking something, you know, a huge project on that is something you'll never finish. So I started it this weekend, I guess yesterday, and the second lesson was math. I don't like math, okay? I'm an English teacher. And I mean, you know, I'm on vacation. I don't want to do math. I don't ever want to do math. But when I really just, okay, I want to just knit. I don't want to calculate. To knit. So, all right, you got it. So I did. And you know what? I kind of screwed up. No, really, big surprise. Yeah, I know. All right, so let me just tell you what we're knitting. The project, from the first project she has you do, and let's see, is called the Sweet Pea Hat. And basically it looks like there's 4 hats. Obviously the subtitle of the class is Hats 4 Ways. And what she's having us do is you knit in a circle, okay, so you make a tube, and then at some point you start decreasing, you know, to go up. So that the hats are kind of similar in design, which is good, you know, because that way we're not branching out too fast, too far. I am using Chiago, these Chiago, what is it, size 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 16-inch cord here. This is the first time I have ever knit in the round, ever. I've been knitting lots of scarves, and I think I attempted a washcloth, and what else did I knit? I've knit loomed some hats and things like that. So, but any type of real knitting I've done on regular straight needles, never have used these type of needles before. And it wasn't too bad. I mean, I will say I kind of get it, and you can kind of see, like, all right, I think I have like 4 rows here, and I can read them. I can see what we're doing, okay? But you know what? Where I screwed up was, where can I find that at? Well, right about here. This is the join area. And as we started doing it, okay, here's the tail, which somehow got sucked down a little bit. I don't quite know how that happened. She said, oh, yeah, that's going to be a little loose there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I looked, yeah, mine's loose. Okay. So I was like, should I tighten it? Because if I pulled the tail, I could tighten that a little bit. But she didn't say to do that. And I was like, well, And I have, for me, one of the problems I have sometimes when I bind off is I make it too tight. And even though generally I don't think my knitting is tight, I mean, I think if you look at my gauge, it's fairly even. It's not overly tight. I'm not one of those people that are like, tight, 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 you know. Because I know that's an issue with, you know, newbies with knitting and crochet, is that they make their stitches way too tight. But she didn't say this tight enough, so I didn't do it, right? And so I kept going and going and knitting and knitting and knitting, knitting. And I was like, okay, this is not too bad. Okay. These are kind of feel small and weird to me because I'm used to the longer straight needles, but I was getting into it, feeling a groove. As I'm doing it, I start noticing, hey, this still looks weird to me. No, just shut up and do it, Tammy. Just keep knitting. Well, after the 4th row, she kind of stopped and showed hers, and hers didn't look like this. She didn't have, look at that. Girl. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I know one of my tips for one of my previous episodes, I was like, oh, if you make a mistake, don't worry, just keep going. No, I'm not. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to totally frog it and start over again. Because that is a massive, you know, it's supposed to look more like this, not like this. Yikes. So yeah, I'm going to do that before I keep going. I'm not going to go back and take the math part. Not doing that yet, okay? I'm going to make this hat. Maybe it's going to be totally screwed up, and then I'm going to go, oh, I'm a terrible person. I need to go back and take my math class, okay? But right now, I'm not in for that. I don't want to do math. Hopefully next episode, I will have more than this. This is only 4 rows, and I stopped. I'm going to take this out. She has to do 4, I think I had to do 5 rows of knit, then I'm going to start doing purl. So on the upside, I have actually knitted in the round using the, what do you call it, the attached needles. And even though they feel kind of weird at first, I was getting used to it. Here we go. See to me, because look how tiny, like those are so much smaller. The Chiagos I like. I usually actually prefer metal knitting needles, even though I do use a lot of bamboo. In fact, yeah, the last few scarves I've made, I've used my bamboo needles, but I do like the metal ones too, because they just have a nice slide to them, you know. All right, so anyway, I am using, just FYI, the type of yarn is called Marble Chunky, and it's an acrylic. I did get it at the Knit and Stitch the Knit and Stitch shop in Cocoa Village, Florida, which like I said, hopefully I'll be there in about a week or so, and I have a 10% off card. So yeah, I'm hoping to clunk down and buy some stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of thought, well, you know, I better start working on this knitted hat class, because if I need anything specific, I could get it there, because where I live right now, there is no yarn shop. The closest yarn shop to me is 40 miles one way. Okay, 40 miles one way. The Knit and Stitch in Cocoa Village is about close to an hour from me one way. But I have relatives there, so I can kind of like, hi, let's go to the knit store. let's go do some yarn shopping. Then we'll go do lunch. So, you know, get a couple things done. But and it's a big, let me show you this big, I showed this actually a while ago. Now it's getting kind of wonky looking, but it's really a big, chunky, hunky piece thing of yarn. I think this is 200 grams. So we'll see what happens. I was actually supposed to use not chunky, but bulky yarn. And the only bulky yarn they had at the shop when I went there before to get this was extremely expensive. It was gorgeous, and now I'm like really Jones. I want it so bad. It's a Rasta, I think it's called Rasta yarn, and it actually looks like dreadlocks. It's the texture and everything, but I think if I was going to need 2 skeins, which was going to end up being like $40, and I was like, I can't justify spending $40 on yarn for a hat that I don't even know is going to fit me, that I'm learning how to do stuff on. And this thing was like this big chunky thing. I think this was $15. So, oh, and by the way, yes, this is in my Ravelry bag from 2007. That, let's see, somebody took a little chunk out of. This was not little, by the way. We did not have little in 2007. So I think Rocky is the one, if I remember, who decided he likes organic cotton. That organic cotton tastes yummy. So, but anywho, I'm working on that. So, and just generally speaking, I'm taking my thoughts on the class so far, other than the horrible lesson 2 of math. And I'm not saying she's not a good math teacher. I'm just saying, I want to make something. And I mean, I don't know. I'm curious to know how many other people have that feeling when you take a class and you're having to do all this technical stuff before you can actually get into anything. I posted on Facebook about this, and of course one person she's actually a professional knitter, so of course she was like, oh well, you have to do gauge swatch and you have to blah blah blah, and I knew she was going to say that. I was like, well yeah, but you're professional, what are you going to say? No, don't do that. It's like me as an English professor saying to my students, oh, don't worry about those commas, they don't even matter. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that. So of course she's going to do that. I did today have somebody post on there, oh yeah, a hat, I never swatched for a hat. So, but she's a prolific knitter, this person who wrote that, though not a professional. So that made me feel a little bit better because, I don't, I'm trying to think now of all the podcasts that I watch, how many times the podcasters mention swatching or even calculating anything for hats, and I don't think they do. I think that's, like I said, I thought that was more of a sweater thing, but maybe it's, like I said, it's probably one of those things where as a good teacher you have to do follow the rules, and you're not going to tell students not to do it. I mean, she did have a sort of a cheater way that she explained in the class, but by that time I was so turned off to all the number calculating. It was, again, just like the Charlie Brown, wah, 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 and, fast forward, moving on to lesson 3. So, yeah, I think that's kind of it. Like I said, I am going to be heading over to Knit and Stitch in Cocoa Village, Florida soon. It's a beautiful, if you're ever in Brevard County and you like yarn, you got to go to Cocoa Village and go to this little shop. And there's all kinds of other I will say that area of Cocoa Village is very nice compared to some of the other downtown areas I've been to throughout Florida. It's a very established type of place as far as downtowns go. See, like where I live, we have a downtown that struggles constantly, and it's kind of weird. Like it still has that issue where, this street's really nice, and then if you go to the next street, you might get mugged. So, that's kind of like, in fact, I was, a few years ago, I talked to a friend of mine going down there to, there's a bead shop. I think the bead shop's still down there. And she was like, oh, I don't want to go down there. That's dangerous. And I was like, it's not dangerous. I mean, come on, the bead shop's down there. It's not that bad. And I get her down there, and we stop at a stoplight, and this person walked by, crosses the street, and he was wearing a black bra and a wig and a pair of shorts. And I'm not against people who cross-dress or anything like that, but it wasn't like an attractive look for him. And she kind of looks at me like, yeah. I think she said something to her, It's like, okay, but he didn't hurt us or anything. It just, it's just that is a not an upscale area. Let's put it that way. They're trying, but Cocoa Village is beautiful. It has a little community theater that I actually used to perform at a few times when I was a kid. I actually took ballet lessons down there many years ago. What else? They have some wonderful restaurants. The Black Tulip, which I don't think serves lunch, unfortunately, last time I checked. Bummer. They used to serve lunch, but whatevs. But yes, definitely. Oh, and there's a really cute little antique shop right next to the yarn shop. So definitely go down there. I think I'm probably going to go there and see about the last episode I mentioned a kimono. I didn't bring the pattern with me, but it's a baby kimono that I'd like to make for my niece, and I think I'm going to break down and see if they have some yarn there that I could use for that, and or maybe a little baby sweater that I could make, that I've made before with some cotton yarn. That might work well for her upcoming baby. And otherwise, I'm just going to see, I'm going to see if I can get some more of this silk. This is the Cascades hand painted silk and merino, and I'm just going to see if they have any more of that, and maybe that Rasta yarn. The only thing is it's really bulky, so really I can't imagine not buying more than, I'd have to buy at least a couple skeins to make anything. I mean, that's just even a hat you'd have to buy 2 skeins for, but I don't know. It was sure is pretty. It's very, like I said, it's very textury and crazy looking, so which kind of appeals to me, I have to say. I will probably try to do another episode in a week, and then I will hopefully have some beautiful stuff to show you from my little trip. And again, it's, people, oh, you know what? Real quick, I almost forgot. Speaking of buying stuff, my mom bought me this book, and I'm going to do, I have just flipped through it, but if you're looking for some stuff for people for holiday gifts still, and this is something, again, you could do the IOU and say it's on its way. This book, I just flipped through it on my way home from visiting, and it was, my husband was driving, by the way, obviously. I was not driving and flipping through this. Crochet, it's kind of, from what I can see real quickly, it's got sort of like a stitch dictionary / technique. Well, it says there, it says techniques, stitches, and patterns. All right, so it's kind of, it's not a full-on stitch dictionary, but there's enough in here that, for example, if you say you want to make a chevron Afghan, they have that stitch pattern thing in here. Tells you how many stitches you need, which is like, I think it was like 10 plus 1. So, and then there's also projects in here, and there were some, I mean, there's some that I thought were doable projects, things that I would, not all, I wouldn't want to, not every book has all of them, but like, okay, here's one that would be a very good beginner one. Chevron hat and scarf, okay. And you could even, I mean, it's little baby booties. Oh, they have a couple of bags. I'm all about the bags. Love the bags. And let's see what else. What else was there? Oh, no, those are crazy. They have a few things. I'm like, I don't think so. But, and okay, so here they have like, they show you the stitch pattern, and then they have instructions, and they even have, the pattern, so that you have the actual stitch instructions as well as the graph. So you can do a little both. And I like that. And of course it also has an area that shows you how to read, the graph and all that good stuff. So it's called Crochet. It is published by 6th and Spring Books, written by Marie Noel Bayard. And I will do a more involved book review on my website. And as it happens, I just got these like maybe an hour ago. They were shipped to me, or I received them an hour ago. And same publisher. So funny, my mom bought this one for me, okay? So this one was not sent to me by the publisher. But the publisher sent me one called Modern Country Knits, 30 Designs from Juniper Moon Farm, Susan Bibbs. This center one, oh, and that hat looks cute. Or is that hat right there? So, oh, and his little gloves. Very promising, okay. And then Vest Bets, 30 Designs to Knit for Now. So that's a cute little cable. Here's the back of it. And yeah, I like, see, to me as a Floridian, I like something like this I could actually wear. I could get some use out of, a long sleeve shirt, one of these, and it's 40 degrees out when I go to work or something. That would work. And I love the pockets. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm getting a little cocky now. I don't even want to do, math knitting. But yet I'm saying, yeah, I'm totally making this. Yeah, I'm full of baloney. All right, so anyway, I will get some of these and other book reviews up pretty soon now that I'm on my holiday break. So if you're looking for some good books, I actually have a couple of beading books. Really, one is stunning stuff. Beautiful seed bead work. And one is a super cute one that's very simple for people who likes charms and things like that. So those are going to come up in the next week. I'll have those, and then these will be soon after. But yeah, so keep a lookout on my blog, tammypowley.com. Head over there for show notes. And of course, subscribe to me over on my YouTube channel. And thank you for stopping by again. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a wonderful Christmas. It's just in a couple of days. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, just have a wonderful, nice couple of days. Okay? If you do, enjoy it with your family and friends and sneak off and get a little crafting done. Or heck, just sit there with them, pull out your beads and whatever you're working on, and just go ahead and say, I'm here with you. I just want to do a little knitting, a little crochet, or a little beadwork, whatever. They'll understand. They just want to hang out with you anyway, right? So yes, craft on, and I'll see you probably in a week.